my food
Yes,
break.
none of that swearing stuff, because that's no good for the kiddies.
Oh, I got that all yesterday.
Are we PG-13 here? I didn't know that.
Except when we get stressed during badge sale. And then it all goes potty mouth.
Then it all goes Deadpool R-rated.
Oh. Oh, did you see that? There's a meme out there with Iron Man, Captain America, and Deadpool. I'll have to post it. It's on Facebook. Basically, yeah, I won't. The punchline is basically Deadpool starts speaking, Iron Man looks at Deadpool, and Captain America goes, "Oh, the language."
Yeah, I saw the Ryan Reynolds tweet. Was it yesterday or this morning, saying Team Cap, and the internet melted. It's like, no, you can't pick sides. So yeah, we're live now. If you want to share on your various social medias, I know we've got a couple of people watching. Hello, Robert Udom, watching hello all from San Diego. Hello there. I'm hoping that you have slightly better weather than we've got at the moment, because it's grim here in the UK. Absolutely terrible. But yes, hopefully you can spread the word. We're going to be on air in about 3 minutes' time.
Oh.
Everyone, is that the general consensus of opinion? Oh.
Yes.
After yesterday.
Well, I had my tickets, so I was less worried. More worried for friends.
He and I were both working for one of our New York Comic-Con friends who's been very helpful to us, to me, and I'm sure to Mike, at New York Con. And it will be his first time to San Diego, to which... Well, how did he phrase it at the end of late last night? Something about, oh yeah, hotels. What do I do about sleeping?
Yeah, I've had that one as well.
We have to get him on the hotel train.
Well, I'll pitch a tent. We're like, oh no.
I still think camping is a great idea.
That's what
nobody listens to me.
He honestly suggested that to me, so I believe that he would do it too.
It's the smell. Please.
I still think just turn Echo Park into one big campsite, it'd be spot on. But that's me. It's one big campsite.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, hang on.
That was me.
Ah. I mean, it says a lot, of course, that I suggest that, and every time I do, the other half looks at me like, okay, I'm going to divorce your ass.
Yeah, she's got it right.
You need a place to put your stuff, take a shower, and get a few hours of sleep. It's like you get 4 hours of sleep at night, you're done.
That's called the Pavement by Bayfront.
No, I'm talking four decent hours, of hard sleep, and you can go for weeks.
I stand by my statement.
Yeah, but yours is induced by pipe. Okay, come on, that's not what I'm talking about.
We've got Aaron Neighbours who's joining us. Good morning from San Diego. Yeah, do jump in on the Q&A. Let everyone know that you're watching. And, sign in. Let us know where you're watching from. We're going to be talking New York Comic-Con. No, New York Toy Fair, sorry. We're going to be talking, hopefully, with Joel Meadows, who's going to be joining us a little bit later to talk about London Super Comic-Con. We've got Mark, who's going to be talking about Walker Stalker Con. And I think that's about it. I think that's...
Enough?
I can't think of anything else we can talk about.
Nothing else has happened, has it?
Not really, no.
We weren't all at our computers for, I don't know, how long, 6 hours, 8 hours yesterday?
Well, I was so annoying. It was so annoying because, as many people might know, I work as a DJ. Oh, we'll talk about that when we go live.
What, in a minute?
That's it. In a second, as it were. Right. And that will be me. Okay. Let's just kill the delightful countdown in the background. And we are live. Welcome to Talking Comic-Con, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. I do have my cup of tea to hand somewhere. Where have I put it? Up? I knew I put it somewhere. It was close to hand. I knew that. My name's Leonard Sultana. I blog and post under the title An Englishman in San Diego. And each week we do this Google Plus YouTube hangout where we talk San Diego Comic-Con, con culture, and all the stuff and nonsense that surrounds it. I'm joined, as always, by some fantastic guests. My usual partner in crime is with me, Alyssa Franks from the Friends of CC Forum. Hello, Alyssa. How are you?
I am well. I got decent night's sleep last night. Badge sale went. I've got some interesting kind of ideas about that. But first off, I want to do a shout out to my new editor-in-chief of the front page of Friends of CC. He's Kevin, Doctor Who. He was on the show a few episodes ago talking. Yep, talking San Diego fitness, and he's taking this on with enthusiasm and motivation and all of the things that I lack. And if you go to the front page of my site, you'll actually see a picture of him and Mike. They co-wrote an article on New York Con from last year.
Fantastic. Yeah, because I know that you've been trying to get the front page of the forum into very much more of a blog state with news reports and stuff. So it's great that he's taken that on. Fantastic.
Oh, it's wonderful. I'm just thrilled.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Alyssa. We have ourselves, from my side of the pond, we have Mark Searby joining us. Hello, Mark. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Leonard. Just getting over some sort of weird cold, so I may cough and splutter a little bit.
Yes, we must explain as well, while in the US it's Sunday morning and you may be in relatively warm states. Here in the UK, it's cold, it's grim, it's windy, and winter has not done with us just yet. It's we're kind of like feeling it. I can imagine it. However, it did kind of help with where you've been this weekend. Setting the tone of the thing.
Well, yeah, it sort of helped that I was feeling like death being at a Walking Dead convention. So yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Excellent.
We'll get into that in a minute. And we have ourselves joining us, long time no see, Michael Leventhal has joined us. Hello, Michael. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Good morning. Speaking of weather, though, last week was bitter for us, too. It was actually -1 when I was heading over to the toy fair in the morning, which we're talking about later. But, yes, we've had some very bitter weather here as well. I'm well, and, I'm kicking.
You just sort of like struggle through, don't you?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I mean, you're looking well, and I'm glad you've joined us. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, not a problem at all. As always, it is an open round table, which means it's all about what you want to talk about and your contributions to the conversation today. So please do jump on the Google Plus event if you can, and leave any comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know how you did yesterday with the open badge registration sale. We're going to talk about certainly the kind of reports that we've had observing the badge sale. But if there's any stories that you can share, please do. Do let us know as well if there's anything you want us to talk about beyond the badge sale. Is there anything that any questions that you have about San Diego Comic-Con and what you can expect in the next couple of months? We do have a bunch of people who are joining us on the Q&A. Thank you very much indeed already. Jason Coe, good day all. Hope everyone's having a great weekend. I know I am with my SDCC badge success, thanks to Alyssa and her friends of CC buying groups. So that's Jason Coe. Thank you very much indeed for your comment, Jason. We have Aaron Neighbors, who's watching from San Diego. We've got Janine Licaro watching from Corona, California. Robert Udom from San Diego as well. Ian O'Hara's watching. Baby Woo, as Ian is wont to be. Thank you very much indeed for that. Carl Clement is watching, and we've also got ourselves apparently an important question from Andy Bebact. Where is my hat? I didn't realise this had become such a big thing, but maybe it needs to. I need to dig the hat back out and cover the shiny head.
No, leave it. We need to see your baby blue eyes, Leonard.
Is that what it is?
That's what it is.
Okay, I'll deal with that. Okay, so once again, jumping on the Q&A, and of course jumping on Twitter as well, using the hashtag CupOTSDCC if there's any comments you want to leave on Twitter. So, I think it's best to start then with the timeline of yesterday. And I think we'll start with just myself and Alyssa talking about what actually happened yesterday from the moment that the waiting rooms opened. I started hearing stories pretty much from the moment that the waiting rooms opened that people were starting to get turfed out of the waiting room and indeed out of their sessions. How often did that happen? I mean, how many stories did you hear?
I didn't hear any of those.
Really?
Not in. And I think we were talking about, I want to say, 250 to 300 people. In theory, sessions, so it would have gone through the group leaders and it would have gotten to me. So I can't say for certain, but I did not hear of any of that. The only problem I heard of was something farther down the process.
Wow.
It did seem to, in their traditional way, it seemed to start slowly. I think I'm trying to look through. We've got a status. We copy and pasted all of the yellow bar status updates into one thread, and I'll copy that over in a moment. And I'm trying to figure out exactly when the first person got in, but I think it was probably at about 9:15. It seemed to take an awful long time to sort everybody.
Okay.
That was my initial impression of things. I didn't have anybody. I heard nothing about people being kicked out of the waiting room or any problems with that. And a friend of mine, one of their codes didn't work, and I was able to give Mike. I was able to give Mike a code, and that I had up and running in one of my browsers. I gave him the code, and it worked on his machine. Kicked me out, obviously, but he had the room to do it. So there was some flexibility in that waiting room.
Okay. I mean, I was hearing a number of stories. That was the one thing I was kind of keeping an eye on any issues that was taking place, and I heard a number of stories of people being kicked out of certainly the waiting room, and they were getting bounced from the link which they'd been sent in the email, saying that the link wasn't an authorized link and it wasn't a proper registration into the waiting room, which kind of threw a couple of people. The one thing that I certainly did notice, that the people that were expressing problems were the ones that hadn't checked out their browser issues or pre-checked their browser before the actual process happened. At the end of the day, it's always preparation is to be forewarned.
Yeah, I don't think we can put it all down to that. Because Mike had a code. Mike and I had that issue. So Mike had a code, and you can talk to what happened on your end, Mike. But what was the error message you were getting, Mike?
It just said that the registration code wasn't valid or something to that effect. Nothing about the room or anything. It was about the code itself wasn't good. But I had other sessions running, so.
Right, and we were able to, we worked it through, so it wasn't an issue for us. But perhaps that's what you're talking about, Leonard. Okay. Was a problem with the codes.
To hark back a small amount to as far as issues, I was watching two groups, and I didn't see any, except for one person who seemed to just be having problems. I didn't hear any chatter about people getting kicked out. with the only one person seemed to have been claiming that they got kicked out.
Okay. So is that the general report then from everyone who was watching, that off the back of the process that had been introduced 2-3 years ago, this was a relatively smooth sailing badge sale?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. There was, I heard of one, I saw one thing posted on Facebook, and one of my friends had one issue in a freeze up in the payment screen. That happened. They had already entered and validated all of the members, and they were progressing to entering the screen to enter in credit card numbers and so forth, and that screen froze. So all of the people who are in that page are now submitting their screenshots because.
No, that's absolutely the best way. I mean, if there are any issues, it recommends it, and we recommend it. Any issues, of course, on any badge, in anything relating to Comic-Con, screenshot, screen cap, and share with them, and they will. They usually do their absolute damnedest to help. I mean, there's the one thing that I have been hearing from a lot of people is that Comic-Con have been incredibly supportive and very communicative with people to help them through any issues. So yeah, any issues, do make sure that CCI are aware of them. James Ormiston is joining us. Thank you very much indeed. I'm never using Edge again. Into the room, started entering names, and then it crashed out. Thankfully, thanks to Teams, it didn't cost anyone a badge. It did seem, from what I was reading as well, that I mean, the two things, obviously. Number one, badge teams is very much the way to go in terms of even thinking about landing a badge. With the amount of interest that Comic-Con attracts, if you don't take part in something like a badge team, then you can pretty much almost count yourself out. In terms of the badges that were landed as well, it seems very strange that a lot of people were getting the 4 days or not getting anything at all. There seems to be very little in the way of that middling kind of ground. I ran a poll on Twitter over the last 24 hours. In fact, 2 minutes left on it in this particular poll. 38% got 4 days, 5% got 3, 12% got 1 or 2 days, and 45% were completely and utterly out of luck, which is where I have to kind of go to Mr. Mark Searby, who is now throwing that face, which a number of people had yesterday. Apparently you weren't so lucky yesterday.
No. Nothing at all.
What was your story then? What happened? What time did you join the waiting room?
About 8:10 in the morning, something like that. Had a PC running and a laptop, 2 codes. Sat there. Was in a buying group as well, and nothing. Let me tell you again, nothing. That's right, nothing. So no.
Was this a case of you getting a sort of like sat in the waiting room, waiting for a session, and just watching the status bar as it kind of like rattled through days being sold out?
Yeah, and when nothing's happening, you realise, wow, this is going really quickly. This is clearly my life flashing before my eyes here. Yeah, it's bizarre how quickly it goes in general registration compared to obviously pre-reg. But yeah, it's one of those things that you just sit there and you slump more and more in your chair and you're looking at the Excel spreadsheet that's open for the buying group, and you're like, none of these people in this buying group are getting anywhere either.
How was the badge teams that you were in and the buying group? How did they work out? Was it just a whitewash across the board?
Well, it's the first time I've ever been in a buying group, so I don't know if it was a good experience or not. It was very well planned, I do have to say that, so I have to give a shout out to Louis and Roger, who planned it perfectly. One person got in very early on, within like 2 minutes, and got 3 badges, and then the same person clearly had more codes or something and got in about 10 minutes later, and then it slowed down to a real crawl. And the person before us on the Excel spreadsheet managed to nab 3 days. By the time it got to us, it dropped down to 2 days, which obviously was no good for us. So yeah, it's very frustrating, very, very frustrating when you don't get it. But at the same time, you have to realise, listen, there's so many people going for it. You have to understand the odds.
Absolutely. I mean, the unofficial bloggers talked a lot about those kind of odds, and they are stark reading. That's for sure.
It still made me want to say well, I did say a lot of swear words. I'm just not going to repeat them here.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question then, while we're on it, and to both of you? Because you said, did you get through at all? Like, was there, like, when you finally were able to get to a buy page, like, was there just Thursday and Sunday left, or did you just not get through at all?
Just didn't hit it, Michael. Did not hit it at all. By the time the end of the buying group had finished, a lot of people had dropped out because the minimum for them had gone. So it was very much, I would say, maybe 60-40 in that people got what they wanted, but a lot of people on our buying group did have to drop out.
Yeah, because I wonder, in terms of Leonard's poll, when he says, oh, you know, people are either getting nothing or the 4 days, how many people said, well, there's only Thursday, Sunday left. I'm not going to take a plane ride out to San Diego, you know, with just those 2 days. It's not worth it to me, so I'm not buying at all at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? In all honesty, that happened a couple of times where it was very much like, well, there's Thursday and Sunday left, and well, on the spreadsheet you've got any 3 days, would you still take 2 days? But I think most people were of the opinion that, depending on how far they were coming, obviously, yes, we'll take it, or no, we won't. And I think a lot of people decided, you know what, it's just not worth taking those 2 days.
I've been hearing that a lot as well. I've been even hearing people sort of getting 3 days and kind of saying, tell you what, I'm not going to bother then. You know, and not getting the Saturday, for example, which I find, I mean, I can appreciate that there are some very major panels and draws within the convention center on the Saturday, but the way that CCI have got Comic-Con set up now, in that they have turned San Diego into the convention center, as it were, I think there's so much you can see and do around San Diego. If you just lost that 1 day, or if you didn't get that 1 day, there's so much in the way of off-site to see. But I can also appreciate that for some people it's all or nothing. I appreciate that. We've got ourselves a couple of comments. Sarita P. Hello, Sarita. Couldn't get 2 days I needed because of a mishap, but friends of CCI Group did get me my 2 days in pre-registration despite another mishap. Count myself lucky that I got something in the end. I think a lot of people are kind of talking about that. Craig Linders, greetings. No SDCC for me this year. No luck, I'm afraid, despite my best Jedi mind tricks. No cheerio for Craig. That's such a shame. I'm hearing a lot of from people that obviously we know, and we kind of really wanted to have the best of luck, and it just hadn't worked out. Ian O'Hara, my friend got me preview night 12 minutes after the doors opened, so I'm going for all 4 days and preview night, so very happy. And let's see what else. Cedric Carmichael, no luck adding preview night with 3 pre-registration codes. No one got to purchasing screen. Cedric, if you could let us know how many people were in your buying group. Let's see if we can work out the strengths of the efforts of yesterday.
I can speak to that.
Go for it.
Unofficially, it seems as though it's about 10-1.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, you know, whether or not those numbers will bear out over a bigger sample. We're going to try and pull those out, but that's my instinct from the kind of samples that I've seen. Just about 10-1. So in pre-reg, if I recall, I forget what the number was in pre-reg. I should have had that. That would have been interesting. But I think that was more like 1 to 5. It seems like your odds, you know, gut instinct, your odds double, or double harder. I don't know. I don't bet, so I don't know how to say that right.
Yes.
But
The SDCC unofficial blog actually has like a little graphic that they've been posting, kind of to that effect. I don't know if anyone's seen that.
Yeah.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
I have, but that information was based on assumptions that were posted a year or two ago, and the curious thing is, to my mind, is the proliferation of people making multiple badge member IDs. I mean, I was running my mom's, and I was running my son's, and I was running, so I had familiar relations with all of the codes that I had, but I'm sure that there are people out there who were less scrupulous, and that's what I'm concerned. That's what concerns me, and I think that that's why the odds are so much worse this time than last year.
And I think they also make some pretty big assumptions about how many badges are sold in pre-registration as well. We've had a question from Andy asking, will we ever find out from CCI how many badges are made available generally and also in both sales? And I think we discussed this last week. We will never, ever find out those numbers.
Yeah, the only hard number that we have to go on is the facilities number of 130,000 capacity.
Yep.
That's where that number comes from, and that's what all what all other numbers are based off of.
I'm curious, actually, considering that they have implemented this campus setup with multiple rooms around the entire city of San Diego. I'm wondering if they actually have sold beyond the capacity of the convention center, because obviously there are more rooms beyond the convention center. I'm just wondering what the legalities of that.
No, that's an excellent question, and I've thought of that myself too, because it would seem to me to be not a smart idea to only limit it to the capacity of the convention center when you do have all of these other venues. I totally agree with you, but I've never seen them say, no, you can't come into the convention center.
No.
Which they have said in other, like Rhode Island Con and a few other venues when they've oversold. The fire marshal shuts them down and closes the doors.
Well, I mean, New York, I mean, Michael will bear us and tell us all about this one with the Artist Alley or the Artist Room at New York Comic Con last year, when it just got so crowded that the fire marshal shut the room down for a while.
No, it wasn't the room. It was the walkway to the room. Because if you, the way it works is Artist Alley is in what they call the Javits North, which is a further area away from that main floor. And it's to get there. There's like a long, like thinnish walkway, and that got overcrowded because they also had booths there. So what they ended up having to do was that became an like an entrance, and then they had you exiting out of the actual building to get back to the main area. But I don't think the actual Artist Alley part was ever closed. It just got very crowded at points.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's very quickly then, because I kind of touched on it, but let's actually talk through the actual the timeline of yesterday. Obviously, the doors to the waiting room, the links went live at 8 a.m. Pacific yesterday. At which point, 1 hour later, they then instantly closed down any of the links going into the waiting room. I did try it, and it was literally to the second. They hit the button, and they closed the doors. It was very, very sharp. Now,
yeah,
you were saying...
Technically, it was at 12:58 or at
really?
9:58.
I tried it at 30 seconds to go and 30 seconds after, and they'd shut it down. So it was literally, it was pretty much.
I'm going off of the status bars because I have them posting the yellow status bar alert at 12:58, which is all East Coast time, so 9:58.
Okay. So Mark, you were saying that people were announcing that they'd gotten into a session 2 minutes after. That sounds very fast.
No, not 2 minutes. 2 minutes after. When I'd seen on Twitter that the first person had got in, which was around 1/4 the hour, so the first person in my group got in at 17 minutes past, which I think is really, really early. They must have been in at least the first batch.
Well, I mean, they did actually say on their status updates that they did take their time with the sorting of people into the registration sessions this time round, and I know that in previous years we have had sessions open from 10 past, from quarter past, so I think they really were making sure that everything was rock solid for those registration sessions. At which point we then started seeing the updates that things were being sold out, and obviously those happened very quickly indeed. Considering that, like I say, we've been hearing that people started getting into the sessions at quarter past. 10 minutes later, at 5:25, Comic-Con announced that the preview night badges had gone, and then not not long after that, 2 minutes or so, the Saturday badges had gone. At which point it was really just kind of like domino from there. Let's go down the timeline. So at 37 minutes past, Saturday went. At 40 minutes past, yeah, 25 minutes after the sessions had started, Friday had sold out, and at which point it was at 52 minutes past that preview night, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday had all sold out. Sorry, Saturday had sold out with Sunday left, and then the whole thing was done and dusted within the hour at 8:57 in the morning. So, I mean, I think that's about the same kind of timeline we've had in previous years. I mean, would you say it's? I don't say it's any quicker this time round, but I think the speed that those Saturday and the preview night badges certainly went faster than usual. Alyssa?
I'm not sure. To be honest with you, I didn't do a comparison of the two. What I noticed was that between preview and Saturday was 10 minutes, according to when the status bars were updated, and between Saturday and Friday was 10 minutes, and between Friday and Thursday was 50 minutes. So it seemed as though that there was a lot more preview night badges sold, was what I had noticed. Yeah. So you had, as you initially said, you had the consolidation for a lot of people buying the 4-day with preview nights. And I think there were just quantity-wise, there were a lot more of those. Since badges opened at 10 past and didn't sell out for 15 minutes, I think that says something, that all of those volunteer badges that they didn't give out this year got sold to people. But I couldn't speak to how much faster it was from this year to last year, unfortunately. I didn't do that numbers. I didn't run those numbers.
A couple of comments coming in on the Q&A. With the RFID chip now installed with the badges, will we now know a more accurate number? Yes, we probably would, but we're never going to hear it.
See, I will know a more accurate number. We will not.
Yes.
Which is going to be very interesting to see. Very interesting to see how they implement that and how that actually goes through. I'm going to be fascinated to see how they do that. The other question that I've got is, since you've got two people, you have the potential that two people have bought your badges. So you got, like Mark, like Sarita was saying, that she got Thursday and Sunday in pre-reg and was looking for Friday and Saturday. If she had gotten Friday and Saturday, she would have had two different people buying her those individual badges. The implication is that they're not going to consolidate this year, which is interesting, and what that means for the scalping.
Yeah.
And all the toy people, so that, and how they're going to stamp the back of the cards. I don't know what we're going to do in the Hasbro booth. Have you thought at all about that, Mike?
No, I mean, I think that probably will end up. I mean, I assume that they were still going to consolidate for people that ended up buying all days, at one point anyway. I assume that they were just going to consolidate. They'll look at the last person who purchased whatever, and then they consolidate, and we'll probably send it to that. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be very interesting. Also, especially, I don't want to have to remember taking 4 different badges each day. You know, oh, which badge do I have? It's Thursday. I have my Friday one. It's just, you know, I don't want to deal with that.
Okay.
So that's going to be an interesting thing. Also, the other thought that brought up is no town and country, which is going to kind of mess with everybody's schedule. Everybody who's, you know, who flies in Wednesday morning to go pick up their badges, they'll already have them.
Sure.
So what is everybody going to do Wednesday? That was my...
Well, I think this is where downtown gets, and Gaslamp gets full of people finding pubs. I'm sorry, but it's all about priorities. So, yeah. Just to let you know, we are also going to be joined by somebody very shortly indeed. Joel Meadows is going to be jumping in to talk about London Super Comic-Con. We'll have Joel joining us very soon indeed. Just very quickly with a couple more comments before we do return to badge registration. Craig Linders has been advised by Jason Coe that he should still go to San Diego. There's so much to do outside of the con. Off-site, Nerd HQ, Nerdist, Geek and Sundry, Conan tapings, special screenings, and Gaslamp District. I don't know if that's advice for yourself, Mark, to take the flight from the UK to just wander around San Diego at all.
I mean, it's an option. If somebody certainly wants to give me the money for the flight, I'm more than happy to pay for the hotel. So, yeah, you know, donations are available. And also, if I do happen to do that, I will walk around with some sort of sandwich board on me as well. So people can just come around and pat me on the back and say, never mind, it was a really good panel in there and you missed it.
Yes, that's probably not... that won't feel so hot.
No.
We've got ourselves a comment as well. Let's Cedric Carmichael has gotten back to us. His badge team, there was just the 3 of them. I'm guessing, Cedric, then it was not as part of a larger group. So I'm just checking on that. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is a question that's coming from Michael P. Do we have any idea if there are any sorting criteria? Well, CCI have always turned around and said that it's completely random, that there was no preferential treatment for people on the East Coast, West Coast, international, that the whole thing is completely and utterly random. I'm not going to use the hashtag. I'll just leave that hanging in the air. You know which hashtag I'm talking about. But as far as everyone's aware, it was just a completely random selection, and that's the benefit, or indeed the plus to the whole the badge registration system as currently implemented. Let's see if we've got any others relating. Let's see. Because I'm trying to, because a lot of people are now moving on from badge sale and now thinking and looking at the future and the next things to happen, which include hotels and also New York Comic Con as well, which people are asking about when the badges are going to be sold for that as well. But I think we'll come back to that very soon indeed. Tell you what, we'll continue to take your questions and we'll add them at the end of the discussion. If there's anything that you want to talk about yesterday's badge registration, your stories, your experiences, do jump in and let us know. But let's talk about what's been happening this weekend. We've had here in the UK a couple of pretty big events taking place down in London. One of them was Walker Stalker Con, which Mark took part in and went along to see. So this is a Walking Dead convention. What was your experience? What did you get up to?
Well, it's been quite popular in the US, from what I can tell. They had one at Petco Park last year outside San Diego. I didn't go, but apparently from certain reports it was a bit messy. So I was a bit worried about this one because this is the first time they'd been to London. Wasn't sure how it would translate, really. But I only had Saturday. That's all it was. I got down there probably about quarter to 10, and the doors opened for general admission at 10 o'clock. However, I spent an hour queuing to get my badge. The queuing was fine. It was moving. It was a typical, con queue, but I don't think they'd got that quite down. They needed something else to get it rolling, really. But once inside, I've got to say, it was brilliantly organised. They had it superbly set out. Nice, lots of room to walk around in. I mean, there was lots of people there, but lots of room. If you wanted to go and get something signed or a photo, they had the little booths off to the side, which was really good, so it wasn't in the way. It was really nicely laid out. They had enough volunteers as well, so there was loads of people just stood about. You could ask them, and I just basically zoomed round. I knew where I was going because they put a map out about a week before, so I went over to John Bernthal's area, got in the queue there, spent 10 minutes in the queue waiting to get an autograph. 10 minutes! I mean, it was crazy. I was expecting half an hour. Got there. Do you know what? Reasonably priced as well, 30 quid for an autograph. You know, I was like, well, that's okay. You know, here's the guy. I'll tell a little story on this. I don't know if most people know who John Bernthal is. He was in The Walking Dead. He got killed off quite early on. He was in Fury with Brad Pitt. He's going to be in Daredevil season 2, and last year he was in Sicario. He's a very angry actor. Very angry. He's the type of person who he's a brilliant actor, but you just look at him and you think, I don't like you already. You're clearly playing a bad guy. And he was there, and he'd got his sunglasses on, and he was like, yeah, photo, you know. And I was thinking, yeah, he's not enjoying his convention, is he? At all. And then I rock up and give him my limited edition steel tin of Sicario. He takes off his sunglasses, and we proceed to have a 10-minute chat about the film. And it was like, oh, wow, this is really good. This is really entertaining. He's actually talking about it. And then I think he gave me an exclusive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sicario is directed by Denis Villeneuve, who is now doing Blade Runner 2. And John Bernthal told me he is working with Denis Villeneuve again in the spring. There's only one film that's being made in the spring by Denis Villeneuve. So I think he's in Blade Runner 2.
Excellent. As a Blade Runner fan, and indeed as a fan of the actor, I'm thrilled about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not.
I'm not overly thrilled with the concept of the actual film itself, because I think they should just leave Blade Runner the hell alone. But that's just me. Okay. Now, the one thing that I did see, just to explain to people, because Walker Stalker Con, I know that in the States they also had kind of like a zombie run involved. This was just purely panels and autograph sessions, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. They had them all just nicely set up, and you know, little tables, and you had little queues and everything. Yeah, there was nothing else there at all to do, so there was no little bits off-site or anything else like that. But being it was their first time, I think they were testing the waters, and as I said, it worked perfectly fine. I spent probably 5 minutes queuing for Tyler James Williams and had a lovely chat with him as well. If you wanted an autograph with Norman Reedus or a photo, you would have been there all day. The queue around the top of Olympia was probably about 700 to 1,000 people deep.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got a little video on my phone. If I can post it, I will. But it basically went all the way around the top and back again. It was so busy for him. But
who else were the headliners of the event?
Norman Reedus was there both days. Andrew Lincoln was there today, but he was only doing photo ops and a panel. He wasn't doing signing. Melissa McBride was there, John Bernthal, Chad Coleman, Tyler James Williams, Lawrence Gillard Jr., who, for some strange reason, proceeded to keep standing on his table and singing to everybody, which was great. It was kind of fun. Michael Kudlitz was there, brilliant. There were some people from Breaking Bad as well. Now you've caught me out. I can't remember who else, but there was quite a few people there, considering it was their first time. David Morrissey was there as well.
I've been reading David Morrissey's updates on Twitter, and he's basically, it sounded like he's had a blast.
Yeah, I think most people have. I didn't hear one grumble at all from anybody, apart from obviously outside in the queue waiting to get in. But once people were in, I never heard one grumble. Even the people who'd been upstairs waiting for 6 hours for Norman Reedus were more than happy because they got a photo, or they talked to him and they were fine with it. So I was really impressed with it. I mean, I was there quarter to 10. and I left at 12:15. I had basically done everything because I knew what I'd got to do and just zoned in on that. It would have been nice to walk around, but you know, there was something else happening yesterday that I needed to get back home for. So, but all in all, I was really impressed with it. I really hope they come back next year and have more people as well, because it was quite cheap as well.
Cool. How much was it?
The day ticket was £38, so that's probably what, just over $70, and then the weekend was, well, they did different levels of weekend passes. You know, you could have photos, things like that as well. So, but it wasn't overly expensive at all, really. So, yeah.
We have an interruption. We have someone who's gate crashed.
Hello. Can anyone hear me?
The whole thing. And we are looking at the nose of Mr. Joel Meadows, who's joined us. That's. Thank you very much indeed for that report, Mark. It's like something I'd really like to check out in the future. I wouldn't mind seeing how that. Certainly, if they come back in 2016, we're going to do a report with on Toy Fair very shortly indeed from Michael. But let's get a very brief report from a car in Finsbury Park. Joel Meadows from Tripwire UK. This is a very quick report on London Super Comic Con. How are you doing, Joel?
Hello, Leonard. Can you hear me?
I can. We're looking at your nose and your forehead at the moment. Let's see if we can point the. There we go. Let's do a little bit.
Is that,
hang on.
Is that better?
Not really. Now you're sideways.
Okay.
We'll go with what we've got, I think.
Alright, just pretend you're talking to Salvador Dali.
Well, tell you what, point the camera lengthways then. Yeah, that's the way. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay, so yeah, we were hoping to get you talking from home, but apparently traffic in London's a bit mental. How has London Super Comic Con been today?
It's been a very interesting show. I mean, obviously it's a 2-day show. It's Saturday and Sunday. I'm not sure what the final numbers were, but it's been a pretty impressive weekend.
I mean, that's not entirely surprising with the talent that's been on display this year. I mean, there's been I know that one of the headlines obviously has been CB
Cebulski, yes.
Cebulski from Marvel, and he's been enjoying himself. Did you manage to get the chance to see him at all?
I didn't get a chance to chat to him, but he had hordes of people waiting to show their portfolios to him, and I think he's spoken on Twitter and said there are at least 2 artists that he's found at London Supercon that will be working for Marvel in the not too distant future.
You see, this is where dreams come true, people. Fantastic. As it happens, I've been kind of speaking to CB on Twitter. Fingers crossed that when he gets home and gets settled, we might actually be getting him on the hangout in a couple of weeks' time. So that's fantastic. So who did you get to see, Joel?
Well, it was quite an impressive list. I mean, I got to speak to Jill Thompson today of Scary Godmother and formerly of Sandman fame. She's always very approachable and very nice. I chatted to Yannick Paquette, who's got his new Wonder Woman Year 1 book coming out, written by Grant Morrison, next year to tie in with when the movie comes out. I talked to Lawrence Campbell, who's a very talented artist who works on the BPRD book for Hellboy, for Dark Horse. So, I mean, it was an interesting mix. I mean, you didn't have the big guests like you had Neil Adams last year and obviously Stan Lee for the first year, but there were a lot of very talented people. And we had Cameron Stewart, you had Sean Phillips, of course, the aforementioned Lawrence Campbell. It was a very impressive lineup. I mean, a lot of great people, a lot of incredibly talented people.
The one thing I did see on Twitter was there were a couple of issues in terms of the panel rooms and that they were rather close together. So there was a lot of sound bleed. The way that it's set up in Excel is that it's in a very cavernous room inside the exhibition centre. So sound can bleed about. What was the kind of experience inside the Excel today?
Yeah, well, the panel room does still have its problems. You're right. You do get a lot of background noise. From the floor where the stalls are. It wasn't too bad. I mean, the other issue that people have been talking about is that creators are now starting to charge for signatures, like they do in American shows. So their first few books are free, and then either signatures that they're now charging. So that's been a little bit of a bone of contention with a few people, because we've been used to decades of going up to some of our favorite comic creators and basically getting whatever we want within reason, or perhaps sometimes not within reason, without having to pay anything. And so I know that some American creators started to charge, so that has caused a little bit of debate among some of the goers of the show this weekend.
Okay. What was, I mean, I attended last year and it did seem very well organised. It seemed, certainly there was a lot of space to move around in. How busy was it this time around? Did it start feeling a bit, because this is year 3 now for Ellis.
Actually, it's year 5 actually.
Oh, year 5, sorry.
Well, it was a steady flow of people, but it didn't feel horribly claustrophobic, which was, good for me. Maybe not quite so good for some of the retailers. There was a decent flow of people coming through, so it felt like there was sort of room to breathe. I mean, I've been to MCM at the same as of you at the same venue, and that's wall to wall people. Whereas with this, you had a bit more room to breathe, and you could walk the aisles without feeling like you were crushed, which is good for me.
Would you say that's also kind of down to there's not so many retailers there? It's very much focused on comics and comic creators, so it's a little bit more of a niche show, as it were, instead of kind of like the full pop culture thing that MCM does.
Well, yeah, that is a fair comment. I mean, they do focus on comics. They do focus on comic creators. I mean, in past years they've had companies, but sadly not quite so many companies this year. But as I said, there have been some incredibly talented artists and writers at the show. I mean, you had Mike Zeck, you had Marv Wolfman, one of the original co-creators of DC Teen Titans. You had what's his name, Scott Williams, who worked with Jim Lee. Some incredibly talented people. And I mentioned Cameron Stewart as well, and Sean Phillips, and a lot of really very talented people from both the UK and the US, and Yannick Paquette from Canada, and Jill Thompson, of course, from the States. So it's a pretty impressive lineup, and if you love comics, I think it's a really good show to attend.
Was it a good positive vibe at the Excel as well? What was the vibe on the floor?
Well, the vibe was positive. The only drawback, which is not the organisers' fault, is that there was a massive classic car show that was running at the same time, causing absolute havoc with the traffic. I mean, it took me nearly 3 hours to drive from North London to Excel, and so I was cursing, so I had to park on the street. So that's obviously not a reflection of the organisers, but perhaps the date, could have been. Well, I mean, they're stuck with some dates. I mean, the show itself was good, and it did feel positive, but it didn't exactly put me in a great mood, taking that long to get in. But it was. I think everyone was fairly upbeat, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a 6th show next year. They've got some good guests. They've got 5 years of history. They know what they're doing. It is very well organised, and I'd like to think that the fans do get a nice experience when they go there.
Cool. I mean, I remember last year it was a slightly different clash. I believe it was London Super Comic Con and the National Cheerleading exhibition. That was a slightly more positive vibe.
It was very positive. Yes, exactly. Yes.
When's it on next year?
Also a baby show at the same time this year as well, and a franchise show and the classic car show. So there were 3 other quite big shows that were clashing at this. And also in London yesterday there was the Walking Dead show.
Yeah,
at Olympia, which may well have taken some people. I know Mark attended that yesterday, or I know he was planning to. So I don't know if it took people away from the show. But you can't. There's so much going on. I mean, these days, it seems like every major city, and obviously London is no exception, where there's 3 or 4 things happening at the same time every weekend, and so it's impossible to legislate against that.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Well, I mean, I don't think we can give it a 4 out of 5 a stars rating. You can't really do that for a convention, but certainly something you'd be up for going for.
I've been to the last 4, so I'd be more than happy to attend it again next year, because I get quite a bit out of it, and the organisers are very amenable and they're very approachable, and they get some very interesting guests, and long may that continue. And it's just, I remember in the old days when the only UK comic show was Bristol, and now we've got a cornucopia of different shows, whether it's the Lakes, Thought Bubble, London Super Comic Con, or if you're kind of into more sort of manga or cosplay, you've got MCM. I mean, you're sport for choice. I mean, it seems like every month there is a big show happening in the UK, and long may it continue.
Excellent. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to checking out.
Well, there'll be lots of coverage on tripwiremagazine.co.uk.
Of course. Yeah, yeah. You'll be able to check out that site, tripwiremagazine.co.uk, certainly for his interviews and his.
And a lot of photographs as well. There's been a lot of photographic activity as always.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
My pleasure, Leonard. Thanks very much.
Now get back into the.
Get back into the traffic.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Take care.
Actually, is there any last-minute questions from Alyssa or
anybody else I need to ask about?
What,
No,
I have I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Have you looked in your back seat? It looks like someone's about to like come at you with like a hatchet or something. It's like very Blair Witch or something.
Well, actually, it's fine. I know he's there, so it's okay.
You picked him up.
Well, yeah, obviously. You've seen the Hitcher, haven't you? We've all seen the Hitcher.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed, Joel.
No
Take
problem.
care. Safe journey home, sir.
Thank you. Speak to you soon. Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
Brilliant. So those have been the two big events that have happened in London this weekend. Last weekend was something that I paid attention to Funko and their bits and pieces. Let me just Funko and their bits and pieces from New York Toy Fair. Michael Leventhal was there. Michael, can you give us your take on Toy Fair, please?
Yeah, well, that's why I joined mostly today. So this was actually, I had been to Toy Fair in the past. A friend of mine had actually gotten me exhibitor passes, because he works for a booth in previous years. But this year I actually went as a press, so it was pretty fun. I set up a lot of meetings, and I covered a fair number of people. A colleague was supposed to actually be at the show, so he did Funko. So I actually just went. I looked at some of their stuff, which included some new Harry Potter stuff, their Suicide Squads, they have a rock candy, and these Mojis. But I personally did a lot of other places. I did Lego, Mattel, Bandai, Hasbro, and a whole bunch of more, Mezco, Diamond, and a few others. So I'll give you a quick rundown, and we'll go from there. I'd say Hasbro has some really nice stuff coming. Their Transformers. This year they're doing the Titans line. So if you're a big figures, if you remember that big Metroplex, they have both a big Trypticon coming out and a huge Fort Max. So those are their two big items, but they have a whole bunch of smaller items. I'm not sure what's going to be the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. They didn't say, but I'm expecting either a Trypticon or a Fort Max. That would be my guess as their big item. So that's from Hasbro Transformers. They had, from their Marvel line, they have a lot of nice figures coming out, including their new, their 12-inch line. But they're actually getting, the most interesting thing I thought from the Marvel side is they're getting into the adult cosplay line. So their first two items actually are Avengers items. They have and you could pre-order it now, but it doesn't come out till September. They have a full-scale Captain America shield that's very nice. Not battle damaged. I think would have been a little bit of a better choice considering, but it's a very nice piece. And then they have Iron Man's helmet, which lights up. The face mask comes off, and you could actually put it as if it was open on top of the head, and it's magnetized. So that's really cool. And from the
Did it mention any kind of prices for those kind of items?
Those are 100 each, 100 US each. So you could actually. I don't think that's.
Mark's just pulled a face as well. I think the same as mine. That's not that bad considering.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. Yeah. And like I said, you could pre-order them right now. They're at Amazon. They're both at Amazon. But they don't come out till September, so you'll be waiting a while if you do pull the trigger. And of course, Star Wars. They had a lot of Star Wars stuff. They didn't have any Rogue One items. No one had any Rogue One items wherever you went. But they had some nice new Black Series lines, including figures from Star Wars Rebels. They had a nice. I'd never played Knights of the Old Republic, so if I get the name wrong, I think it's Revan or Revant. He had a red and a purple lightsaber, so they have that figure coming in the Black Series. And they did, though, let known what might be coming for San Diego from for Star Wars, which will likely be if you saw the First Order Stormtrooper, the Black Series, there'll likely be a Rogue One exclusive for San Diego, which is probably going to be the hot that's going to be the hot item.
Sure. When I've been talking to a couple of companies on social media, they were obviously just to explain to people that Toy Fair is very much for the retailers and for the industry. So there was no exclusives at this particular event. But I mean, were there many companies that were kind of teasing about exclusives for future cons, like they are almost separate markets on their own?
Not really. I mean, I tried to ask a few people, but it's very early. Also, I mean, it's February, and San Diego being in July, there wasn't a lot of information. I asked the Lego people. That's not decided. Hasbro just let out really the hint about the Star Wars, but nothing about the Transformer side or any other side. Mattel, I didn't actually get a chance to. I was having a good time at Mattel. I didn't get a chance to ask anyone as far as Mattel exclusives for San Diego. So yeah, no. Even Dark Horse, I asked them, and they didn't really know if they were going to continue to do. Likelihood, if you do Dark Horse, they have the ships, the small size ships. I think Alyssa's gotten them in the past. They're going to probably do, a gold plated or silver plated one, for that. And there'll likely be a Game of Thrones exclusive because they've done the wall plaques and the crowns in the past. But no one's actually said this is exactly what we have.
Sure.
So
I'm already calculating luggage space.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't have my son, so I'm down 2 suitcases.
Mm-hmm. Shipping is the way to go.
What was obviously being a trade show? The kind of footage and the photos that I have seen of Toy Fair, there's a lot of space to move around it. It's certainly not as cramped and as crowded as the conventions that perhaps the people.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Toy Fair is, like you mentioned, it is really industry only or press. So what you don't understand is they don't sell tickets, although I'll get into a little bit. They did this year to open up a public area, which was in like the Artist Alley of New York Comic Con, which they call Playfair. So that was like an open area that anyone could buy tickets to, but that was completely separate from the actual Toy Fair. So what actually happens at the Toy Fair is, unlike at a Comic Con where people want you in the booth, the booths actually have walls around them, and you can't actually see their product unless you get invited into the booth. So it's very much a, they're there to do business, or if you're there to do press and cover them. They're not looking for someone from a different company to just look around at their stuff. They're not looking, it's not that kind of show, in that sense.
Fair enough. I mean, certainly the one thing, I mean, I don't know if you actually went onto the stand, and I know that we do keep mentioning Funko, but they are very popular. The one thing that I did notice from the Funko stand is that they do seem to be stretching out into many, many different product lines and different sort of like just really almost seeming to stretch themselves a little bit thin in terms of T-shirts, in terms of the Barbie stuff. I mean, what was that stand like?
Well, I will say I'll slightly amend that also, because a lot of the smaller booths, like they separated. So there's the upstairs area, which is what New York Comic Con has their exhibit floor, and the downstairs, which is actually the queue hall and the main stage. All that area is actually also used for booths. So the downstairs is a little more open. A lot of booths are more welcoming to you. There's less walls. So I did actually walk into Funko. Actually, I said hello to Cameron Duell, so if he comes by, he's actually holding on to my Friends of CCI lanyard, which now Alyssa owes me a new lanyard. I will point out. But yeah, Funko has a lot of lines. I picked up their catalog, and if you open that catalog, it's like 120 pages, and the amount of products and the amount of different licenses and what they're doing is just... It's mind-boggling. They have a lot of stuff.
Yes, I'm just desperately hoping that they aren't stretching themselves too thin. We are going to be speaking to Cameron and Yoko. They are going to be joining us on the Hangout on the 13th of March. So do watch that as we get prepared for New York Comic Con and for WonderCon. I presume you're already you're preparing yourself for New York Comic Con. I can imagine.
Well, C2E2.
Oh, C2E2 first.
Yes, C2E2. There's been no announcements for New York Comic Con, so until there is, we're just waiting for announcements. That's all.
Well, I mean, to Alyssa and to Michael, we've been asked this on the Q&A. What's the kind of time frame? When would we start expecting to hear news on tickets for those events?
They change year to year. I would say in the last 2 years it's been June, July-ish. That area is when they sell.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd have to look. I know that we did a buying group for New York VIP tickets. They made it. Lance and Mike Armstrong did an interesting interview, and I don't have the link to hand, but they did kind of say or imply that there might be some changes to the VIP system at New York Comic Con this year. So it will be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Sure.
But C2E2 is happening in a few weeks. I think 3 weeks from now, and that's their WonderCon to San Diego Con. So we're looking forward to some hopeful information. Maybe we can corner Mike Armstrong, and I'm not sure if Brian is going to be there or not. Do you know, Mike?
He is, because he wants to. He's asking us when our meetups are. He wants to.
Right. No, cool.
You see, you're playing with the cool people now. That's what I like to see. Well, I mean, obviously we've got events that are coming up, and very quickly with Mark. Sorry, I mean, what's the next event for yourself? Have you got planned?
Well, next week is the first of Showmasters cons here in the UK. They are just sort of a general film and TV con. They have lots of different people going. I'm not sure if I'm going yet. Nick Frost is there, who I've never met. I think it would be great to meet Nick Frost. He makes me laugh, and I've got a very limited poster which they gave away at San Diego Comic-Con in 2014 when they were there for the World's End. So I'd love him to sign that, but at the same time, I'm not sure if I'm going to go. Beyond that, MCM in May. I went last year for the first time, and it was fantastic.
And have you got tickets for Star Wars Celebration? It's if anything, it might take the edge off the fact of not landing those badges for San Diego.
Yes, I have now got Star Wars tickets. So yes, I will be there for that. And then the week after San Diego, Showmasters' big summer Comic-Con is happening in London as well. So, as you said, it takes it off a little bit, but, those wounds are still there. They're still there.
But glass is half full. I mean, and that's the way you've got to look at these things. If Plan A doesn't work out, Plan B will, or Plan C, or Plan D, and there are a lot of cons out there to take advantage of. So you get to go to a different con. I'd love to go to ECC some year out in Washington State. If heaven forbid I never got tickets to San Diego.
Yes, I mean, I'm still wanting to go to New York. I'm still wanting to go to New York. I mean, I'm just desperately hoping that will ever happen.
I got a place in my apartment for you. I got an apartment all booked up.
Okay, I mean, it sounds like a small broom cupboard under the stairs, but I'll take whatever I can get. I'll play the Harry Potter in that particular scenario. Okay, that's fine. We have got a couple of last-minute questions when it comes to the Q&A.
Before you go on,
sure, yeah, wrap things up, please. Yeah, sorry.
I didn't even get to the show and tell part of the toy fair.
Okay. Now let's go. Let's do it. Let's go.
You cut me off before I could get to the best part from people.
Go for it, sir.
The stuff. So, all right, give me a few minutes. I'll show you. Let's start with Mattel. Mattel had their preview. They had a lot of nice stuff. From their Batman and Superman new movie, we have a nice little Batman figure, the armored Batman.
Oh, we've got a reflection of Alyssa's face there. There we go.
There we go. So we have a battle armor Batman. That's from Mattel, coming out soon for the new movie. And to bring back to your childhood, if you remember Rock'em Sock'em, have a Rock'em Sock'em Batman vs Superman. So that's some stuff you could get from Mattel. From Hasbro, they gave us a nice little. I was talking about the Marvel Legends figures. This figure, if you see it in person, is really nice. I'm more of a team Iron Man, but they gave me a nice little Captain America, which is, if you see the articulation on it, is just really a really very well put together figure.
Excellent.
Really nice. Playfair took care of me with a nice with a Joffrey plush. If you're So they were at the Playfair. Like I said, the Playfair was an open to the public area, but if you had press, you were able to get into both sides. So I kind of took a walk over. And then I'll say the best thing I got, and I have to give these guys a big, big shout out, is Mezco. If you're not familiar, they have a new line. It's called 112 Collective. It's these 12-inch figures. They've put a lot of detail into them. The clothing is actual, like, real cloth and whatnot. And the guys at Mezco hooked me up with this Mr. Spock figure, which, if you've seen the actual figure, I have photos of it where I've done my articles. But if you see this actual figure in person, I have to tell you, it's worth every cent that they're charging for it. So...
Something tells me that's not going to be coming out of the box anytime soon.
Yeah, it's too much. I can't open it. As cool as they gave it to me, and I want to open it and do it as like a really in-depth review. I'm like, I want to keep it in that box.
Excellent stuff. This is where I really do wish I had the funds to do more collectors and collectible stuff, because I really do wish I could get my hands on some of this stuff. But excellent. Thank you very much indeed for that report, Michael. Excellent stuff. Let's wrap things up then with, like I say, a couple of questions from the Q&A. Mike Johnson is asking, this is, I think, myself and Alyssa can answer this one. Does anyone know where international buyers will be picking up their badges?
I don't, but I would assume upstairs in the sale.
I think that's where we're going. Yeah, we're going to be in that line where everyone else would usually be. We're not going to be in that. Oh, sorry, we're going to have that to ourselves. So yeah, if anyone does want to harass a bunch of Brits, we're going to be in that line while you guys have got your RFID badges mailed to you, and you sort of like wander off and enjoy yourself. Okay, we're not bitter. We're not bitter, but it's okay. Yeah, okay.
At least you're there.
Yes. Thanks for that. You make me feel even worse. Okay, and Robert Udham is asking, does anyone know if Trade Pro Reg might be next weekend? That's a very good question. No idea when we'll find out about that. Alyssa, any kind of guesses? I mean, now that we've got, I think what they'll try and do is actually get the badges out of the way first.
It will reopen on Monday the 22nd. Please check back after Monday at 12 p.m. But I think that's for creative pros.
Yeah.
Not sure about the other types of pros yet.
At this point, I think it's just a case of there's going to be a couple of days where they will kind of sort through any issues in terms of credit cards, faulty details. They will want to try and get everything pretty much nailed down first before moving on to the next step. And of course, we have had that comment again as well about Hotel Apocalypse and when that's going to happen. Not a clue at this point, but I can imagine now that the badges are out of the way, that will be the next big thing on the agenda. Okay. Have we got any other last-minute comments from my guests? Anything else that we want to talk about?
Can I just say something, Leonard? Just quickly, Joel was talking about there was lots of other things happening at Excel whilst he was at London Super Comic Con. That happened at Walker Stalker yesterday when I left. In the next hall was the cruise ship show. So getting off the tube was a lot of people dressed as zombies and a lot of people of...
a nautical bent.
Yes, and retired age. So it was a very interesting look for people getting off the tube. There was a gentleman stood there going, cruises to the left, dead to the right. And it was the most brilliant piece I've ever seen. But it was brilliant. I don't even know if he was doing it intentionally or not, but it was brilliant.
Dude, if you did not follow that up with, and I'm stuck in the middle with you, at that point, you just let something, ideal opportunities slide by. Oh dear. Excellent, thank you. Did you manage to hear Norman Reedus speak at any panels at all, by the way?
No, he did the panel today. Yesterday he was just doing photographs and autographs. I mean, he'd got 1,000 people to see. He hadn't got time to be doing anything else.
Fair enough. It's just that Michael P. is asking, is it true that Norman Reedus will be killed off at the end of this season? Watch the program. I'm always one of these people. I've been in enough panels where people have turned around and said, can you tell us what's going to happen at the back end of the season? No! Watch the bloody program. Who knows? I mean, although I can imagine killing off a character like Norman Reedus, you'll hear about it. The internet will let you know. So there we go. Right, and I think that's pretty much all of us in terms of the questions. Oh, yes, Michael.
I found, because when I looked through my bag, I found the Funko catalog that they had, which I will say
shows the depth of that thing at least.
It's 144 pages, and it has some heft if you drop it. So yeah, there's 144 pages of product. I will say Five Nights at Freddy's. For some reason that was the big new thing. Everyone was licensing with them this year. If you've heard of that app game.
No, that's news to me.
No? It's a big app game, and there's been a lot of companies that are NECA, Funko, and McFarlane all have licenses with this app-based company to produce figures and toys from those games. So it's even on the front of their little cover right here.
I'm sorry, but when apps can afford to hire people like Arnold Schwarzenegger to do adverts, that's when I just bail and give up. But there we go. That's just my take on the whole thing. Right, thank you very much indeed for your reports, and indeed, thank you very much indeed to everyone jumping in with your comments this week. Alyssa, thank you very much indeed for your time. I'm looking forward to checking out the front page of friendsofcc.com.
Kevin's done a great job. I'm just thrilled. He went to the gym twice yesterday. He did badge sale and went to the gym twice, before and after Reg. I'm like,
the man's got
he only went after Reg. I went before Reg.
No, I think he went before. He said he went before and after. That's what he said on Twitter this morning.
I think he went twice, but he didn't go before. I don't know.
Excessive.
I had a pizza. So that's all I can say.
Chocolate and beer.
Thank you very much indeed. Where can people find you online, Alyssa?
friendsofcc.com/forum. Search for Alyssa. You will find me posting everywhere.
Excellent. Thank you very much indeed. Also on the Friends of CC forum, you can also find a new post if you go to general discussion talking about the San Diego Comic-Con UK attendees, which I'm going to be posting about if you do want to kind of jump in on that if you are watching from the UK. So, yes, that's my little contribution to the Friends of CC forum. Thank you very much indeed, Alyssa. And thank you very much indeed for joining us, Mark, and your report on Walker Stalker Con. I'm so sorry about San Diego, sir.
Yeah, never mind.
I'm probably going to. What I'm going to have to do is just see if I can recruit you as press for an Englishman in San Diego next year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, as I said, I'm happy to stand outside with just a board pointing people in directions. Really, as long as I can sneak in the panel the back way. Maybe I could be like the celebrity escort or something like that. As in, take them to the panels, nothing else. God, dear.
Listen,
well, I will say that the press closes very early, so take a look around in August next year and apply for press. You certainly should. I mean, especially since you now have a website.
Yes. Where can people find you online, Mark?
It's bizarre. It's almost like that was set up. Thank you very much for that, Alyssa and Leonard. Yes, marksearby.com. I have my own little corner of the internet. It tells you everything that I do. There's a few videos on there as well. And I'm also on Twitter, Mark_Searby. I'm also on Friends of CC forum as well. Also on the radio every Thursday night here in the UK, talking about what films are out. If you're not in the UK, you can still listen. I always post a little link so you can listen live. It's normally 9:15 p.m. here in the UK, so that's 1:15 p.m. Eastern time. Hang on, no, I've lost the other one. I don't. No.
I fall into that trap every single time, mate.
Yeah, no, but yes, that's where I am. So.
I do want to try and get you recruiting on my radio show as well, so we'll have to talk off air about that. But we'll go into that. And last but not least, thank you very much indeed to Michael Leventhal for joining us. And
thanks.
Thanks for showing off all your cool swag, dude.
I want this spot.
That's what I'm here for, to show off all my cool swag. And that's exactly why. That's the whole purpose for getting me on the show today.
Just to show off. That's just not fair. So where can people find you, sir?
Well, you can find me at Friends of CC, MLLNY. You can find me on Twitter. For the Toy Fair, I covered it through my other outlet, High Def Ninja. So all my articles are actually on the homepage of High Def Ninja. You should definitely check it out because I have tons of photos. I have many more booths than I even talked about at the show just now. And also, we're doing it's our anniversary, the forum's anniversary. So this week is hundreds of giveaways for our yearly anniversary. So check out High Def Ninja and join Friends of CCI.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. For myself, Leonard Sultana, you can find me at Englishman STCC. You can find me at anenglishmaninsandiego.com. I also have my own radio show, which I do on a Monday night between 6 and 8 in the UK. It's called My Little Slice of Nerd. It's on a hospital radio station. You see, I'm not on proper radio like Mark. I'm on hospital radio. But it is online as well. So if you do have internet radio, it's certainly if you get the TuneIn app, you can search for HWD Hospital Radio, and I'll be live on air tomorrow from 6 and 8. Thank you very much indeed. We're back again with another episode of Talking Comic-Con, an Englishman in San Diego, a cup of tea with an Englishman in San Diego. Back next week. Not entirely sure what we're going to talk about now that all the fuss and nonsense has died down about badge registration. But keep an eye out on our Twitter, and we'll let you know what's happening next Sunday. Hopefully you'll join us from 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and 6 p.m. GMT next Sunday.
Can I add one quick thing? On the 6th, it looks like we're going to have a representative from Repop will be joining us. Carrie. She is their marketing and media person. So.
Also, in the next couple of months or next couple of weeks, we'll be having Funko joining us. We're hopefully going to be getting a representative from the Marriott. That is still tentative. They are being very cagey about talking to us. And like I say, hopefully we'll get somewhere with having CB Sobolski joining us from Marvel, talking about what it actually is to find talent at a convention. Okay, take care. Enjoy the rest of your week. And from all of my guests, we'll see you next Sunday. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.